What's going on, everybody? Thank you for being here. It is the birthday edition. Your boy's 46 today. How about that, huh? On top of that, we got Bobby Covek from Gecko Cove hanging out on the show tonight. We're going to branch out of ball pythons a little bit. Thank you for being here. Let's get to it. What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for being here. I hope that you're having a great day. It's been a wonderful day. Thank you for all of the birthday wishes. If I haven't gotten back to you, I promise I will. I make a point of saying thank you or replying and catching up with everybody. But, in this world of social media and Facebook notifications, everybody has found out that in my life that I've ever known has found out that it's my birthday. So I will get to everybody. Thank you very much. It's been a fun birthday. I got to hang out with my family a little bit, shipped out a bunch of snakes, went shopping on a little birthday gift card. And after the show, I'm going to have some cheesecake and then a little wine after that. So that's what happens when you're when you're 46. I got Bobby Covek on the show tonight from Gecko Cove. Stick around for that. If you follow Chris Eaton at all or the 15 Minutes of Lame, you would have seen Bobby on there. He and I kind of hit it off when I did the guest. What is it? Like the debate. Oh, moderating the debates. That's what it is. So we had a good time with that. And I got to know him a little bit and check out his media and all of that. So I'm glad that Bobby's here. So stick around for that. Not too much in the way of announcements. It's kind of a quiet time. I am down or I'm sort of relaxing off the road for shows until March 1st. Des Moines, Iowa is the next place that I'll be in person. Also had an awesome Palm Street auction on Friday. Thank you for everybody that supported me on that. Thank you for everybody that participated in that. I sent out, I think, 23 snakes today, and I got another 12 for people to pick up in person. Always good to move out snakes, get a little cash, especially in the middle of winter in Minnesota, man. This is fantastic. So thanks, everybody, on that. But what that has to do with anything now that it's over is that I still have a bunch of 2025 hatchlings that I haven't even listed from late 2025. I haven't even bothered listing them, getting them input into Husbandry Pro, none of that yet. So in the next couple of weeks, I'll have that, and those will definitely be listed in anticipation of both the Des Moines show. And then, of course, Tinley is right on the heels of that in the middle of next month. So hope to see you somewhere out on the road. Next week's show is going to be a little bit interesting. It's up in the air right now. I got a call from my client in North Carolina, last week, and I need to go out to North Carolina for a site visit, which is not a bad thing. It's great, but I'll be traveling at best. I'll be doing the show from a hotel room, which I might be, but I haven't quite gotten my itinerary yet. So I'm working on guests, rescheduling and all that. I might have a guest host. I might host. It's possible I won't do the show, but I kind of keep the show going. I'm pretty proud of the show streaks that I go on. So anyhow, just stay tuned, but it's a good problem. Being busy and having clients is a good thing. So I'm thankful for it, and just be patient. I'll keep you posted on what we've got going on. Otherwise, man, I'm kind of enjoying shipping those snakes out. Kicked my butt, man. Doing those auctions are fun, but clearing house is like, oh, I hope I got all the shipments right. I hope all the labels went in the right place. All the snakes are in the, you hope everybody picks up right. And let me tell you too, there's a little bit of a challenge with too many platforms. I think the new rule should be, if you make a deal on a platform, you don't communicate on another platform. It's all got to be on the one platform. I'm not really complaining. I'm complaining. I'm not really being serious. People bought snakes that had my text number, so they're texting me, and then I'm trying to keep Palm Street happy with the number of, the tracking number and all of that. We got a few things mixed up, signals mixed along the way. but that might be a thing that I incorporate into the next auction. So that's all that I have, but it was a good, really good experience. And it was nice to be able to take advantage of this shipping window here in Minnesota. So huge thanks to Palm Street. If you're interested in learning about live selling platforms, and by the way, it's not just auctions on Palm Street. I rarely do auctions, but I'm on Palm Street often where I'm just live selling, and I much prefer that. It just happened to be the time of year where it's time to clear some stuff out, and these were animals that I've taken to a lot of shows and have been out there for a long time. It was time for them to go. So I like the live selling aspect of it, but whatever you prefer, check it out. The link is right down below in the description. You can go apply to be a seller and start building your business today. Palm Street brings this show to you ad-free. No more YouTube ads on Proper Royals live content. That's from people like Palm Street and our other advertisers. I'll tell you about them later. So thanks to Palm Street. I appreciate it. It's a great platform, and you can buy all the shipping right from there. If you would like to ship with Redline, which I suggest that you do, bam, you can do that right in Palm Street, and it's integrated. Print your label right from there. The recipient gets the tracking number right from there. It's all boom right there for you. So thanks to Palm Street. Bobby Covek is the guest tonight. Like I say, I met him on the 15 Minutes of Lame competition for 2025. We had a good time. I like his enthusiasm, his energy. I believe that there is nothing better than somebody who's passionate about what they're talking about, authentic, transparent, talks about ups and downs, challenges, wins and losses. Like, you got to be skeptical if somebody's only telling you about wins and only bragging, you know? So I think there's a transparency to what Bobby does. And there's also like just a willingness to get out there. You got to have, that's got to be ingrained in you if you're going to get into the 15 Minutes of Lame competition, right? So all things that I admire and value and appreciate. So I'm excited to hang out with Bobby tonight. So welcome, please, for the very first time to the Proper Royal stage. This is Bobby Covek from Gecko Cove. What's up, Bobby? How you doing, man?
Hey, how you doing? I'm doing fantastic. I didn't know it was your birthday. That's a surprise for me.
Hey, man,
Happy
the show's got to keep going. You know, I got plenty of birthdays. I don't know if I'll have plenty more. I hope I do, but I got plenty behind me. We got to keep the show going. You know what's up? So,
I hear you. Actually, I did. My last birthday was my 15 Minutes of Lame interview.
Oh, was it? I didn't know
it was on my birthday. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny, man. That's cool.
Birthday interviews.
That is cool. Yeah. By the way, hello to everybody in the audience. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And if you're watching on the replay, thank you for checking it out as well. Just, turn it up while you're cleaning and all of that kind of stuff. Bobby, for people that don't know you, because this is primarily a ball python channel, take a moment, explain yourself. You got a good looking display. You sound good. You look good enough as a person. No
I'm
problem
as
there,
a podcast, so thank you. I appreciate having me on. So if someone's brand new to who I am a small time gecko breeder. So I breed primarily gargoyle geckos, though I did just get my very first crested gecko eggs today. So I started with gargoyles. I didn't start with crested geckos. So I've been in this now for what? 3-4 seasons. This is my 4th season. So I'm relatively new in my mind. There's so many amazing people like Flawless who've been doing this a lot longer. And I'm just trying to
3 or 4 years enough time to realize like the ups and downs, the grind. The honeymoon time is like, worn off. The shine is gone. So if you're still at it, like you made some conscious decisions to stay at it.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's not all sunshine and roses, but it's one of those things where it's so rewarding, and there's so many little things that hit that dopamine button, and it's fantastic to watch the eggs, get laid, and then they hatch, and then you're always planning that next step, which is the exciting part. So you're enjoying the present, but looking into the future, but also learning from the past is kind of how I look at things.
Oh, nice. Why? Really wildly open-ended question. Why geckos? Why gargoyle geckos? And then now you say cresties as well. But what was like the thing? Like, what was the the banana ball python story? What got you?
So, I mean, I've always been into animals. My grandma breeds golden retrievers. I've had
Oh,
dogs
cool.
and cats, cute and fluffy, that all that kind of stuff for a long time. And I've always enjoyed seeing reptiles, going to the zoo. I got married at the zoo, actually.
Oh, cool.
I went on an African safari for my honeymoon.
Yeah.
So I've always been interested. And then when I worked at one of the big box stores as a dog trainer, actually,
Mhm.
there was this bearded dragon. It was just a plain old run of the mill bearded dragon baby. And it kept coming up to the glass. And I remember just like saying, how cool is this? I didn't think lizards would ever just like chill on you. And I was walking around with my dog doing demonstrations. And every so often I'd bring that little baby bearded dragon out and have it on my shoulder, and people didn't even realize it was real. It was so
Yeah,
calm, right? I
right.
remember one woman came to me, she's like, "Is that a brooch?" I go, "Yeah, because 20-year-old guys have a brooch on."
A lizard
You know?
brooch. Yeah, and a big one too, like,
Big one, exactly.
not a modest brooch, like a big brooch.
So, yeah, I mean, so that's kind of what got me really into just keeping reptiles and learning more. But what got me into the crested gecko, or not crested, I originally was looking at crested geckos,
Yeah.
but just geckos in general. I had a really awesome store when I lived in Chicago, where they had all different types of New Caledonia species and other species that I was into. Originally went in there for feeders, and at first I thought crested geckos looked kind of cooler, but then I started doing some research, and the
Mm.
reds got me. When I saw my very first picture of a red super blotch gargoyle gecko, to me it blows me out of the water. And what I love is that fired up or fired down, which if you don't know, it's they have two different kind of color phases based on a few different
Yeah,
factors,
actually
so
tell
they
me,
don't always look
I
different.
hear it and, like, I'm sure it's the same when, like, a ball python breeders not it's the same, but it's analogous to when the ball python breeder's like,
Yeah.
"Don't you see this amazing color here?" And the person's like, "Dude, this is a brown and black snake. I don't know what you're talking about."
Hmm.
What is this fired up and fired down thing?
So basically, fired up means all of the color pigment is completely showing, right?
Mhm.
So if it's a dark base, it's fully, the darkest it's going to be. And a great example is a red crested gecko versus a red gargoyle. A red crested gecko, their color red is typically the skin base color, we kind of call it. And so when it's fired up, it's that bright, vibrant red, sometimes
Mhm.
that cherry red. But when it's fired down and kind of usually it's in a calmer state or when they're trying to blend into a really bright environment, um, then it's kind of a washed out pinkish, salmon kind of color, or it can even look sort of brownish. And so with crested geckos, the big fancy photos that you see of them all fired up, that's what people are expecting when they buy them. But
Right.
then sometimes they'll get them or see them at a show because when you have all those bright lights, they tend to fire down. And so
Mhm.
people are like, man, I would sell this gecko in a heartbeat if it was fired up, but it won't because
Yeah, that's
so
probably that's an angle I hadn't thought of as
yeah,
far as, like, it's one thing to manipulate the photo, it's another thing if the animal actually changes how it
it
looks.
changes, right?
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah. What's is that a natural response in the wild? Is that a thing to,
Mhm.
like, show off and flex and get, dates and mates and stuff? Or is that just a
I think there's some
what's the purpose on it?
communication there, but I think, I think if we truly understood it 100%, a lot of breeders would be able to manipulate it more.
Mm,
Typically, if you want to fire up your gecko, you're going to put it in a, dark, small, cramped environment. Usually you're going to miss them a little bit, higher humidity. And again, I think the darkness plays a big factor. My geckos, when I put them on a substrate versus paper towel, like when they're growing up, they tend to be more fired up when I open the tubs. Where if
huh.
I have them on a white piece of paper, they tend to be fired down more. It's also there's some stress factors there. There's a lot of different factors that play into it. I think also how much they want to absorb sunlight that could play a
I
factor
was gonna
there
say, is there
too.
a time of day situation? Like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
like our pupils maybe? Like, are things dilate? I don't know. I'm just trying to
no,
think.
no, yeah, no, they're all great questions.
Mm.
If I had the answer, I
Right.
yeah, people would like me more. But it's just something to think about because gargoyles, what I like is that they have a base color, they have a pattern color as well, which is different. And so their base color fires up and down, just like a crested gecko, but their pattern color stays relatively the same throughout their entire life, other than when they're sort of breeding. Sometimes they'll lose a little bit of color. But a red gecko, if it's pattern color, will just keep that fired up, fired down. Doesn't matter. Those spots are going to be red. Those stripes are going to be red or orange or yellow, or there's black and whites now too. So a few more variety.
And how does the breeding work? Is it pretty classic Punnett square breeding, or is it more like leopard
Polymorphic.
geckos? Yeah, so
So
it's polymorphic.
it's polymorphic. So it's a lot more stacking of traits. Unlike even crested geckos, there are no official, Mendelian genetics. So there's no recessives, there's no codominance and complete dominance. Not yet. I think something's going to probably pop this year or next year is my guess.
I gotcha. I got to say thanks. We got a little cash in the jar here. Well, look, man, selling ball pythons is plenty hard. I don't know why I've won it hundreds of times. But Will and Audra, thank you guys. Hey, I'm going to be in Will. I'm not sure who's typing, Will or Audra, but I will be in Rutherford County this time next week in North Carolina. That's where Audra hails from. I know a little bit about her hometown. That's cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thanks, guys, for hanging out. I appreciate the support. Guys, go check out Flawless Exotic. Sorry. So you said that some of the definitions weren't there yet. You think some things are going on?
I think that there might be some, traits, true morphs when we're talking about, potential recessive or incomplete dominant morphs. That just need to be proved out with Gargoyle. So again, I can't announce anything, but I think that I know a few people working on stuff behind the scenes where that could be something really exciting. And I think just like any other, first time ball pythons had a gene, that's when some of the booms happened and popularity skyrocketed. Same thing with crested geckos when Lily White and other genes came out. So I really think we're on a cusp for gargoyles right now.
If I'm not putting you in a confidentiality issue, is this a breeding, gathering evidence through breeding, or is this a genetic DNA type study, or do you know, or can you say?
Just breeding. I know from what I understand, I've asked this question a few times, especially with ball python geneticists. I know you guys have the shed tests. We don't have anything like that yet. Right. Geckos typically eat their sheds. So
makes it even harder.
Yeah. So very rarely will you see a shed, just hanging off of a branch. There might be something with swabbing, their saliva or something like that they could do. But
that's true.
For right now, there's, it's all just, again, because it's polymorphic, most of it, especially with gargoyles. So there's no real need to test.
What about tail tests? Like all these cresties that are throwing their tails around, do gargoyles do that too or not?
Well, they do drop their tail. I know even the cresty people don't want them to drop their tail.
Right.
So
No, I know. I'm being a little bit facetious. I know that it's not uncommon though.
That's another cool thing about gargoyles. They grow the tail back. Now it looks okay, unlike a leopard gecko where it kind of comes out as a weird bulbous regrowth thing.
Yeah.
Right. It comes out looking almost identical shape-wise. But if you have a high pattern, high color animal, it doesn't always have that color, though I have seen some regrown tails that have a really cool kind of like color striping through it, which is very unique. So they do a really good job with the regenerated tails because as they're breeding, they're rough on each other. They are not crested geckos.
I'd heard that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They got sharp teeth and there's bite marks. And I've had only one girl out of my whole collection lose a tail during breeding, but that's been pretty lucky.
Do they now? You said earlier that they will drop them. Do they drop them like my understanding is Cresty's like almost like make a decision to drop them? Is it?
Yeah.
But whereas like the lizards in Florida that I used to see when I was living there, they would lose tails because another predator had got a hold of them and it either broke it off. Will they sort of consciously draw? I don't know if it's conscious is the right word.
I've never had one. So, okay, I'll tell you a little story. My buddy John, who I do my podcast with, the Gecko guys, he's a cresty guy. I'm a Garg guy. And I got my very first set of crested geckos. And just like you're saying, I had this one beautiful female. Within 24 hours, she freaked out because of the new environment and she dropped her tail. And I'm like, I barely did anything to you.
Yeah.
Right. And so he's laughing because he's like, I haven't even done it. I've been working with him for 3 years. Right. So that made me feel really bad. But with gargoyles, I've never had a gecko drop a tail with me interacting with them. What's
Mhm.
cool about gargoyle geckos is you have to understand New Caledonia. So it's an island full of gecko species.
Right.
Geckos are eating other geckos the higher you go up on the food chain, with leeches being at the top for
Yeah.
geckos, at least. Now, there's other skinks and predatory skinks and birds of prey, so things
Well, of
like that. But
course. Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
you know, um, but because of that, you've got different levels of personality, just like a lion's not going to act the same way as a gazelle, right? And so with a gargoyle gecko, you're a little bit higher up the food chain, and they have a confidence to them that crested geckos just don't have. Crested
Oh, I see.
geckos are
Yeah.
eaten by everything.
Yeah. Great
So,
explanation. Yeah. So, yeah,
yeah,
it does make sense to just fling the tail if they even suspect it for a second, right?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they want to get out of there and survive. And with a gargoyle gecko, not only do they, it's a little bit different environment. They're more higher up on the food chain. I They just don't need to. They don't
Yeah.
need to run nearly as much. They've got sharper teeth, stronger bite force, things like that.
Gotcha. Before we get too far down the path on
Sure.
the geckos, where are you based out of, Bobby?
So I'm in the Chicago suburbs. So
Okay,
Tinley
cool.
is my home show, which is always nice.
Very
I
nice.
was spoiled.
Do you vend there? You hang out there? You do both?
So I hang out there.
Yeah.
I would like to vend eventually. I've done
Mhm.
Schaumburg, but my biggest problem, and it's really not a problem, is I sell out too fast.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't have any animals typically to bring to a show to fill up a table.
Yeah, I had a talk with a buddy one time and he said something like, "Well, I'm not going to sell anything because I want to make sure I have inventory for somewhere." And I was like,
Mhm.
take the money. Tinley is
Right.
the most competitive room in the whole industry. Like, to sell stuff there, sometimes it sounds funny, but to sell stuff there, sometimes you have to give it away because it's so competitive. And I'm like, I got shows before and I got shows after. I'll stand there and put
Mhm.
on a show or just show off not for sale stuff just to build the brand. But
And then the
it,
same person is gonna complain that the market's dying, you know?
exactly. Well, that's a whole other thing as well.
Yeah.
But and I guess I'm not knocking anybody.
Mhm.
Some of it has to do with like what I sell. If I were selling 5-figure ball pythons, I guess I would make sure I had that inventory for Tinley because that actually probably gets competitive at the high end. It's like the high end gets driven up and the low end gets driven down, and there's nothing in the middle kind of deal. So I
Yep.
suppose if I were at the other end of the spectrum, maybe my perspective
Well,
would be
it depends
different.
on the quantity that you're producing, right?
Yeah.
There's different levels of that. So it's easier for me to say that, I only had what, 8 breeding females last year. This year
Mhm.
I'm up to 14. This year's going to be different than last year. And I might have some surplus where I would die for a table at Tinley, but it's not the easiest show to get into either.
It's not, the flip side of what Flawless was saying though is I have the understanding that the more, I wouldn't say obscure, maybe ball pythons, then cresties, then the other people could get in a little bit easier. And I
Right.
mean that by difficulty. I think Brian Potter will laugh in your face if you show up and say, I need a ball python table. He's, yeah,
Right.
okay. Actually, he won't laugh. He'll tell you something else. But anyway, I like, and I'm saying that with I like Brian. He's been
Well,
awesome
supply and
for me.
demand. If it brings in people to have variety at your show. And so if it was just a ball python show, would the same amount of people show up? It makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, and I'm not knocking it. And like I say,
Oh,
I'm
no, no,
thankful.
not at all. Yeah.
I'm the last ball python breeder that ever got in, but I got my table. I'm good. It's good. Okay, let me see here. This is just a second. You always know you're always doing good when the trolls show up.
Yeah.
I don't even engage them anymore. So okay, so out of Chicago, and where can
Yeah.
people find you? I'm guessing Morph Market, the usual places, but where do you vend? Are you out and about vending all online? What's your model?
No, it's all online.
Yeah.
So I have a website, but it's not. I don't sell off of my website. Typically, it's private message through different social medias that people want to reach out to. But I do post a lot on Morph Market.
Hmm.
I know reptile ads. I started to start posting on there as well.
Cool. How's your
And
experience with reptile ads been?
It's been good,
Yeah.
I think, there's not a ton of gecko people quite yet. I need to post a few more geckos, but the overall platform looks really promising, and the more eyes I can get on my animals and on me as a business,
Right.
I we're trying to grow people's understanding of what's out there for gargoyle geckos and what their potential is, and so I don't mind showing off some of my fancier stuff there as well.
That's cool. That's cool. Do you I have zero familiarity
Yeah.
specifically with the gargoyle gecko market. I'm assuming it's smaller and narrower than the ball
Oh, yeah.
python market. Do you find that that is a challenge, or do you find that it's easier to be a bigger fish in a smaller pond, so to speak? So, like for me, yay, there's this big market for ball pythons, but there's bazillion ball python breeders and everybody wants to do that.
Yep.
So do you find benefit in the smaller or narrower scope, or is it just like a
Yeah.
smaller proportion? It's still just as challenging. There's just a smaller scale of how challenging it is.
I think it's how you go about it.
Okay.
Whether it's ball pythons or you are looking at it, I think there's an advantage to gargoyles even compared to crested geckos compared to ball pythons,
Correct.
anything
Right.
super popular, because it's a double-edged sword. Yes, it's easier to become a big fish in a small pond, whether that be financially or just, but also there's less out there, right? So it's harder to get certain things. As far as, moving animals too, it's less popular,
Yeah.
right? And so, you're competing with less people, but there's less people to buy your animals as well, unless you
Correct.
grow the
Yeah.
the market, and that's sort of been one of my strategies is just, you know, get on YouTube, get on social media, kinda show people this is a really awesome option, and bring in people from other areas in herpetoculture, to show them how amazing this is and make your own market.
Sure. I'll tell you if any of these questions seem slanted.
Oh,
My
sure.
well, my purely transparent thought is every market's hard. Otherwise, there'd be
Yeah.
bazillionaires in every market. So, like, at the end of the day, like, I really don't care. For me in ball pie, it's not when I ask these questions, it's not to highlight that I think the market's hard. It's that I want to understand markets and other people's experiences. At the end of the day, all anybody can do is put their head down and work the hardest that they possibly can and not waste time on what they can't control, is what I think. That would
But
be
people
my thought.
don't. I think there's a
Oh, yeah, you're
difference.
damn right about
Right,
that.
but people don't.
Yeah.
They think they're just gonna go because they're relatively easy to breed, right?
Mhm.
They're even though they're, more challenging than a crescent, I don't think they're more challenging. I think that there's differences. There's things you do to set yourself up for success, but that's educating yourself on how to mitigate aggression with them.
Mm.
And so, people will go and buy, you know, let's just say inexpensive, right? Animals, and they'll try to buy inexpensive adults, and they'll do a lot of them, and then they'll complain that they can't move them. Well, because there isn't a market, you've overproduced something that doesn't have a high value. And so I tried to take the exact opposite approach. I want to create very limited quantity of the highest caliber because no matter what with polygenics, you're going to get a range of quality. Not every baby I hatch is a 10 out of 10, right? And so I think that's something to kind of consider when you're talking about markets is that um, how you go about it and are you really in it for the right reasons, right? Are you
Well,
there
I mean,
because you
there's
love
that,
the
yeah.
animals and
There's that
pushing the right
aspect as
thing?
well. Right.
Um, and when I say the right reasons, it's not this, hippy dippy kind of thing. I eat, sleep, and breathe. Other than my kids, this is number like, well, I'd say my wife too, 3, right? On
Yeah.
the list,
Go and
right?
choose your
So there's
answers
there's
carefully. We'll give you,
priorities,
yeah,
right?
we'll let
Yeah,
you grade on a curve
this is
here, but
recorded.
yeah, yeah.
But even my wife will say, I mean, I've never been so obsessed about a topic and an animal like I have. I've been in a lot of hobbies. I've done the fish, I've done other reptiles. This to me, why I think that I've been successful in this is because I'm up at 11 o'clock at night searching for new animals
Right.
and researching and looking at my pairs. That kind of passion and dedication towards whatever you're working with, I think makes a huge difference with the success of your market.
Very nice. For something I talk about often, which you probably haven't heard because it's ball python show typically. But I like often fantasize about what a world would be like where ball pythons were priced solely on their looks. Like if I had none of the word salad, gene, hat this, triple that, disco biscuit this, and we're because honestly, some of these names I can't even say with a straight face sometimes. I'm like, or people just name new combos like it's,
Mhm.
you just get to do that, and which there's no rules, so you do get to do that, but it's nuts. And I just wonder, like I fantasize about this experiment where I would be like, no words on the display, only dollar amounts. And if people disagreed, they could explain to me why they disagreed, kind of thing.
Mhm.
But I feel like that's what you're talking about with polygenics. Like it
Yeah.
either looks amazing or it doesn't. And of course, amazing is in the eye of the beholder. So,
Yep.
um, how many, first off, what's the thoughts on is that how the pricing works? I mean, how do you
Oh,
price?
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, at least the way so again, because I'm not morph chasing in this, I know
Hmm.
they're out there, but that's not my passion, right?
Hmm.
I want to I'm very transparent about this. I want the highest pattern color on an animal. I don't care if it's a stripe, a blotch, a mosaic, whatever names you want to give them for the pattern. I just want the most color, the most vibrant color on the animal. And yes, so the higher I get to that goal, the higher the prices. Period.
Sure. How have you been at it to see long enough generations of highlighting and accentuating and maybe not isolating, but accentuating those results through generations? How
So
long does that take?
what's cool is that gargoyle geckos and one thing I've kind of learned is that they are I'm very curious to see how this goes over the next 5 years, 6 years.
Hmm.
Because what we've done since I jumped in the hobby, it is night and day. Even my geckos, every baby, not every baby I produce, but a lot of the babies I produce outperform their parents,
Okay.
which with other animals, you can't always say that, right? You can buy a $40,000, visual, and then sometimes they don't, produce the best. But with gargoyles, they tend to do that. They tend to outperform themselves if you pair them correctly. Now, the caveat to that is both parents have to really be nice.
Mm,
I've heard a lot of theories where, oh, just the male matters, or oh, it's predominantly the female's genetics. I go, nope, it takes two to tango. You need nice
yeah.
males and nice females, especially with polymorphics.
Interesting. And I'm sorry. So I'm wading in
Oh
waters
yeah,
I'm unfamiliar with. So
no,
there are some genes that are isolated or some described, or we think that they're genes and
th-
isolated. And it's also just as well accepted to say, look, I breed for this pattern or this color
mhm.
or this combination of color and pattern. And here's my specialty, what I specialize in.
Yeah, it's really, this is geckos for dummies. Okay, there's
Well,
really
that's
not a
what
lot
that's
to
what I
confuse
need. Yeah,
people.
that's
You
what
know,
I need here.
and this is why it's so easy to get into them right now because you've got two things. If you only know this, there's stripes and there's reticulated. You're going to hear blotched because blotched is the color, pattern, just like Dalmatian kind of random,
Mhm.
spots all over. Um, Now you can get into the minutia of like how big they are. Are you going for little spots, big spots, giant spots for that kind of stuff, or are you going to do a combination, which people call mosaic? So there's different names we're trying to create to just speak the same language with what we're visually seeing. But at the end of
Right.
the day, it's reticulated and striped, and then you're talking about base color and pattern color. Um, those are the three things. It's the three ingredients, however you want to mix them, wherever you want to put your points, to build your
Right.
character. That's what it is. And so until we have any, you know, recessive or incomplete dominant genes, it's simple. It's really simple. And yeah, what you
Well,
see is
like
what you
it's
get.
yeah, well, I'm a big fan of I use the example that if I have to explain to somebody why a joke is funny, maybe it's not funny. If I have to
Right.
spend a long time explaining why the ball python is cool to somebody, the specific one,
Mhm.
maybe it's not any cooler than any of the others, you know what I mean? So that's the I'm
I
attracted
completely get what
to.
you're saying. Even I think Adam Wicken just did a video on that topic
Mhm.
where he showed two different ball pythons, and one used to be worth $30,000, and now I think you can get it for like 300.
Mhm.
And the other one is worth, $30,000. And basically ask the audience beforehand, which one do you think is prettier?
Yeah,
Right.
right.
And I didn't hear everybody's answer because it's on a YouTube channel, but like, to me, the cheaper one was just prettier. It was a really cool pied albino, something,
Oh,
just a
yeah.
2 gene.
Right.
Those are gorgeous.
Yep. Well, and I do think, like, to me, those are undefeated, but people have different business models. So I
Oh yeah.
understand, where my sweet spot is, where my comfort zone is. I try and push and expand and challenge that, but I also know the watering hole that I go back to, and that's different for each person. And I will readily admit, yes, my argument begins to not hold water when you start to
Mhm.
consider hets and the recessive nature of genes, which we know about and we can define. But I love the idea of, I just want snake. I want to attract people with the beauty of how they look, and then we'll
Mhm.
get into the nerdiness rather than going, no, no, no. I promise it's cool, and here's the reasons why it's cool. I want them to go, that's cool, and me to go, well, let me tell you what else is after that. You know what I mean? Like, that's my goal with
And
my
here's
ball
how I would
python.
look at it is, what's the potential? So even if visually
Right,
it's not the most stunning thing, because you're working with genes, you just haven't paired it right. Or not you, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
we haven't paired it to the right thing to make it that visually appealing, is how I would sort of look at it. And an example in the gecko world is cappuccinos. When they first came out, they looked like
These
dirty
are
brown geckos to
crusty.
me.
These are crusties,
These
right?
are cresties,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So because they're the ones with genes. And so, you know, cappuccinos, and there's another one that's just come out, not the Xanthic, the sable. No, yeah, sables. To me, sables were prettier just because they started off with better quality, whites on them. But the cappuccinos just looked ugly. And now I've got a cappuccino because they mixed it with the right things. They mixed it with a red. I've got it as a tiger. And so you're taking a gene, mixing it with the right combination, and now it's the best of both worlds. Not
Sure.
only is it a little
Exactly.
bit more rare, but it also is visually appealing.
Right. And that's the beauty of breeding, the hobby of, like, to me, that's the value proposition. You start with this cool
Mhm.
thing, and tomorrow you can create something that wasn't there at the beginning of the day and maybe has never
Right.
been there in the history of the universe, which is a pretty neat thing. We're not creating them, but we're putting them together so that they can create it. Let's not get into semantics here, because I can feel the
Is there a
comments
place
coming.
kind of is there a place, like with the world records, right? Guinness Book of World Records. I
Yeah.
would love to see a snake breeder's version of that, where it's all the world's first get marked down somewhere. Like,
You
you were the
know,
world's first of this, world's first of that.
I there's some Facebook groups called, like, world's first ball pythons or something like
Yeah.
that. And then there are genes that are credited to people with isolating and defining, which is really cool.
Mhm.
But consider this, um, because I quit worrying about whether something was a world's first or not. I've probably produced some, but I probably have het combinations right now that have never been, I mean, like,
Yeah.
technically. But so in the world of ball pythons, there's nearly 200, or around 200 for an easy discussion. There's 200 identified genes, and not that the human lifespan is long enough to actually get an animal with all 200 genes in it. But there's a thing in math called factorial, which is uh, 200 times 100, 200 one way, 199 the other way, all the combinations, then 198, then 197. If you
Mhm.
put 200 factorial into Google and ask it to tell you what that number equals, even Google breaks down. It's like infinity. So when you start realizing that, that
Mhm.
number is much bigger than the total sum of all the people that have ever lived on this planet in the history of the planet. And then,
Yep.
so I'm really throwing water on world's first. I'm like, it actually, you should be, if you haven't produced a world's first, you are
What are
lagging
you doing?
behind. Yeah. And you
What are
are
you
lagging
doing?
behind in the law of averages. You are below, like,
I love it.
so yeah, I'm like the old man. I'm in the old get off my lawn on the world's first stuff. Like, good for you. You should be producing world's first. There's a massive opportunity for it if you want to do that. So, but
Oh,
that
that's awesome.
also is the beauty of it and the beauty of everything that was ever created, as soon as one more gene enters the, descriptive world, all the others become obsolete because you can suddenly do something that's never been done. Everything that
Yeah.
was brand new suddenly becomes able to be newer again with one more additional gene. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Like, that means that almost like levels the playing field. So it feels like certain breeders have like control, or the big dogs, or you're always
Mhm.
behind. And I'm like, you're never behind. Just do something new. Then you're not behind.
Well, even with gargoyles, one of the big critiques is that with the reds, right? The red stripes were the most popular here in the United States for a long time.
Mhm.
And
And I'm sorry,
they're
these
all
are
like,
gargoyles?
these are gargoyles. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So with the gargoyles, what they're saying is because there are no genes, right? And a red stripe is a red stripe is a red stripe. It just depends on the variation of how thick and much red they have. They're like, well, at some point, it's just going to be a fully red gecko. And what are you going to do then? And that's their critique. I go, I don't know. But when we get there, I'm going to celebrate.
Right. Yeah.
But,
I'm going to make some money when I get,
right?
when I get a gecko that looks like this microphone. I'm going to be pretty excited. Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's like, we'll worry about that when we get there. But second off, like, there might be so much more at that point. Nobody thought when they were first breeding ball pythons that we'd be up to 200 different
Exactly.
genes. We were just excited to get the very first albino.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah. I remember when pieds were the price of Mercedes. And literally, I remember being in the
Yeah.
shop in college going, well, I can't, but somebody could buy that pied or a Mercedes. So, and not like a junky cheap one, like a new one, a good one,
nice one, yeah.
Yeah, nice one. So yeah, I think this, you make a really good point of sometimes you do have to say, we'll figure it out when we get there. I saw a really cool diagram, that was like successful entrepreneurs memes or something like that, but it was like point A and point B. And on one slide, it was point A with somebody waiting for like the perfect scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And the line to point B never exists. And then there's the second one where it's like the successful entrepreneur, and it's like this kid's spaghetti drawing of a line that finally gets to point B. Yeah, you figure it out along the way. You learn from failures along the way. You test what works, what doesn't. You experiment and you dabble, and you get a little fulfillment here, and then you pour some more gasoline on the fire and get more fulfillment there. So I think that's a really great point that you just brought up. Of now, the ethics of it being live animals, and you don't want to willy-nilly experiment with wasted life, and that,
Sure.
or experiment at all with wasted life, not purposefully, that plays into it. But in general, like, yeah, that's a great outlook. That's how you're going to find answers. That's how solutions get found.
Well, in today's world where it's so much easier to, if something doesn't work for you in your projects, to move it along to someone who it could be fantastic for, right? One critique that I get a lot, in my time here in the hobby is that I have had some really nice animals that I've then ended up selling. And they'd be like, well, are you just selling it for a profit? I go, guys, I am investing everything that I make back into this, right? And I literally I didn't spend any of my actual money. I literally went around my house, sold a bunch of stuff on Craigslist, right? To get my first funds to go buy a gecko, because my wife would kill me if I used any real money for this hobby. I had spent enough with fish tanks, right? And so, again, my intention wasn't even to get to this point. I didn't know this point would even be possible where I'm at with the level of animals I have. But it's one of those things where you take the opportunities, and I haven't made every right step. There's animals I wish I could get back, right? But like you said, that kid who has the weird drawing, I take every day by day and make the best decision I can that day.
Right.
And it's led me to a place that I wish I was this consistent and this energized for working out. I'd have a six-pack, but I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I know. I get that too. Well, like, also, like, whose business is it if you sell something or don't sell? Like, did they buy it, or did they make you an offer? And I'm guessing the answer is no. So they have no insight to say anything about it.
And there's a difference. I know there's a big debate right now on people who flip animals versus reselling. And what's funny is everybody has an opinion. And some people I've talked to have zero issues with anything I've ever done. If I sell a gecko in 6 months after I buy it, as long as I've quarantined it, it's healthy. Everybody's, upfront where that animal came from. That's how I look at it.
Right.
But then there's other people who basically are like, well, it's a living thing. If you buy it, you got to keep it the rest of your life, or you got to keep it for at least a season. It's like, why?
Yeah,
Why? If it's
and
healthy,
who makes those rules? And ask
correct.
those people, hey, how happy would you be if you had a reliable wholesale buyer? I bet they would
Right.
say, I would be stoked. And you would go, would you give them a lecture about that? Like,
Yep.
yeah, purity tests. Like when people start flinging around purity tests, it's like, okay, we're
Exactly.
either going to find where hypocrisy is, or or there's just going to be impossible rules, unless you have a true pet hobby of two or three, a handful of manageable animals. That's a different
Yeah.
story, and that's a different outlook. So I think,
Different model.
yeah, and I think people, like you say, if you're upfront about it, if to me at the end of the day, if it's healthy and I put my name on it and I stand by it, which I do with every animal, then we'll have the conversations of,
Yep.
And I'm always up to say I purchased this, or there's breeders that I work with and they make great stuff and they don't want to sell their stuff. We'll do that. I'll have those conversations.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy, I mean, there's still something so magic about cutting eggs. How does the breeding cycle for gargoyles work? Is it you're getting like a couple eggs every 6-8 weeks, something like that? Is that right?
So I would say you're getting if everything goes to plan, you're gonna get anywhere. You're gonna get 2 eggs every 40 to 60 days, depending on the female.
Okay.
Now, the more seasoned the female is, the more consistent. I also have noticed a trend where in the beginning of the season, like right now, it takes longer in between the first and second clutch, and then it kind of speeds up, and then it kind of slows down. Where I'm like, I think you're done, and then 70 days later they throw another clutch at me.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's not as clockwork as some of the other geckos, but it's pretty consistent.
And so you're
Um,
getting, I mean, what's sort of like the breeder
10 would
math?
be a great number for a year,
Okay.
for a
So
breeding season.
yeah. So you
Um,
bank on 8 or so.
yeah, you bank on 8
Yeah.
if you're optimistic.
Right.
I've had some females only lay me 2 eggs. I've had a lot of people talk about first time breeders, not doing as well. So some people wait till they're 3 years old rather than 2 years old, so
Right.
that they have a better rate of eggs. That's personal preference, whatever you think is more ethical. But typically my girls are ready to go around 2.5 years old.
Yeah. Now
So
that's actually really similar math to ball python math, except you're getting a broken up steady flow versus just all at once kind of deal.
yep. Yep.
But the timeline and the turnaround is I mean, when I say turnaround from birth to maturity is
Yep.
very similar, and the output is very similar. Now the footprint of enclosure space needed, I'm guessing, is less, but do they need, I mean, what does a mature gargoyle gecko enclosure look like?
So if it's a pet home, I would say typically an 18-18-24 is pretty much the standard.
Right.
I have all of my breeding trios. I keep them in trios for the most part in an 18-18-24. Now, the
All the time. Do you
caveat to
ever
that,
separate them?
I never separate mine once they're together unless I'm mixing up the pairings.
Okay, cool. I didn't even think about
Um,
that. So like obviously ball pythons would keep separate all the time except for
mhm.
when they breed. So I was thinking with the enclosures are actually bigger than I thought for the geckos, but then you're getting 3 in it. So sorry, I cut you
Yeah,
off.
and
Continue.
no, no, you're fine. And again, some people do smaller,
Mhm.
enclosures, some custom sizes. Uh, Realistically, and this is something I learned from Paul Morlock at Rack House, one of the best breeders for Rhacodactylus there is. But his big thing is you have to have hiding spaces that can only fit one gecko, because
Mm.
the male, why groups. I used to want to just do one-on-ones, kind of like with chewies or leechies, where they do more pair bonding. I don't think these guys pair bond, but I think the males definitely can pester the female. And when you have sharp teeth, mating, things can go, you can really stress out the females if it's just one male and there's not a lot of hiding spots.
Right.
So not only do you give them a ton of surface area and a ton of, I put stuff that thing with cork bark and visual barriers, but they have to have areas to get away where they can't just chase them through. Right.
Mhm.
And that has really reduced any issues where I've never had a girl die on me. I've never had a girl, I've had one girl lose her tail, but that wasn't even because of breeding. That's because I put her in with another female trying to save space when I first started, made a mistake. And, what I learned is they're cannibalistic until they're adults, right? And
Oh,
so they'll
okay.
eat each other and they'll
Really?
eat each other's tails. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Never keep two babies together. They're all separate. So my baby rack, every one is just one animal to each bin.
What happens when their whole lives they're never around another one? What happens when you put them together?
So they they kind of scent mark a little bit. So when I put them together, I'm strategic in that I take cork pieces from each of their own individual enclosures. I mix up a brand new setup, new orientation, move the food in different places. Nobody has a territory. Everybody is basically turned upside down.
Yeah.
And then because they all have their own scent around it, it confuses them, right? So they're not like, oh, this is my territory. And so I just watch them, but I don't baby them anymore a lot. When I first started out, I'm like really nervous about it. And I'm sitting there watching them and shining a flashlight. I put them in, and as long as I have a camera in him, I have a gecko tent actually now. So,
Right.
which we can get to later.
Yeah.
But as long as I don't hear any like major screaming or, I don't see any really bad signs of aggression the next morning, I check on them every day.
Yeah.
I'm just vigilant. And if someone's dropping weight or things like that, I'll have to pull them for the season. But I really have only had to do that once in my 4 years.
Nice.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, audience, stick around. I'm going to take just a quick break here and pay some bills. I do want to hear about the tent setup, and then also talk just a little bit about your social media as well. So, audience, stick around. We got a little more show to go for sure. Big thanks to Redline Shipping, as always. I like shipping with Redline Shipping because they have a phone number you can call. There is support that is live. They are humans and they do like reptiles, and they're educated on reptiles and educated on shipping reptiles. They have all your supplies that you need at redlineshipping.com, and the user interface is great. Use a promo code PROPER5, get yourself $5 off of your next shipping label. Shedtesting.com. Okay, a couple things. I kind of screwed up, guys. I have to be a little mea culpa here. If you notice on the thumbnail, it's a different banner, and I forgot to update the banner here in StreamYard. So the Proper 10 promo code currently at this very second has expired. I do not know what the future of that is. I will find out what the future of it is. The relationship with shedtesting.com is fantastic, as is the relationship with Phenome, which is the name of the company and the partnership that is now shedtesting.com, or has become Phenome. So I know all that sounds mystifying and smoke and mirrors and all that. Just be on the lookout for phenome.com. In the meantime, you could still go to shedtesting.com, still get great prices, great service from Charlie Williams, still run by Charlie. The testing and the DNA testing is still handled by him. He still manages the lab. He's still getting your results to you faster than any other options out there at a great price. You can get a full recessive panel for $85. It's $8.50 per test on your recessive panel testing per animal. So go check out shedtesting.com. But again, my apologies. That promo code has expired at this second. Just sit tight for the future there, as well as sit tight for announcements from phenome.com as well. Remember, Tinley's right around the corner. I can promise you they have not been sitting still since this merger happened and took place like 7 months ago now. So sit tight. Tinley's around the corner. You can read between the lines on that. But in the meantime, go check out shedtesting.com. Okay. Sundog Serpents. I got updates for you. All new stuff from Sundog right here. I just got it this week, so I don't have it quite memorized. They have a lot going on, though. Coming up very shortly, and some of these are already available. They have zebras and zebra combos available, and they did last year produce a TSK Axanthic zebra as well. So they'll have Axanthic zebra ingredients and various combos available. Same with Stranger Hypo Clown combos. They have TSK clowns as well as TSK clown combo ingredients, and then some big picture, long-term, very big picture projects, hypo-ultrapide, hypo-azanthic pied as well. That's Sundog Serpents. That's Sarah and Josh down in Orlando. I've been doing business with them since I could tell you since early 2021. When I first moved back to Florida, they were some of the first people that I met. We vended together, we worked together. I buy snakes from them, they buy snakes from me. We work on breeding projects together. Great folks. I hope you go check them out. Go take care of them. Sundog Serpents. Speaking of late updates, I almost said something I shouldn't say on a family show. You can insert here. I'll say, I kid you not. And you can imagine what I was going to say. I kid you not. This came in at 6:59. If I could show you on the phone, 6:59, Central Time is 7 o'clock when I go live. All right, here we go. Charlie on Reagan Renee Royal Pythons. First off, if you go to reaganrenee.com, all of his inventory is there. It all ships for free if you buy through reaganrenee.com. However, February 22nd, so I guess 5 nights from now, maybe Saturday, check the date, 2/22, easy to remember, 2/22 at 2 p.m. Eastern. I see what he did there. Over 40 listings and some new releases will be on the live auction on Morph Market. Reagan Renee Royal Python's first ever live auction on Morph Market, 2/22 at 2 p.m. You can't mess that up, guys. Go take care of that. If you follow Reagan Renee on Instagram, he's giving away free credits every day until Sunday. So maybe the event's on Sunday. Double check that for me, please. So follow on Instagram to find out more. New releases on the auction that he hasn't posted anywhere before. All right. So a lot going on. And I know that Charlie's got awesome stuff. I will tell you, he is working Kryptons, DG, G-Stripe, Candy Pied Clowns, G-Stripe Clowns, G-Stripe Clown, DG projects in single, double, triple. And I think he's even got some quad ingredients these days. I don't know that to be a fact, but I believe that he does. So go check out his live event, 2/22 at 2 p.m. First live auction on Morph Market. How about that? I'll get those down and get those a little bit smoother, but that's what you do. You take care of the people that take care of you, right? Go check out Keeper Kane on YouTube, right here on YouTube. You're already on the platform. You can check out Keeper Kane. It's the channel, the YouTube channel about Kane and Michelle Fritzwallace. They have ball pythons. Kane is very active breeding ball pythons, big snakes that they keep. They have aquatics and tarantulas, arachnids, bugs. They probably got some isopods somewhere. I know he's building rodent racks that'll be for the ASF updates. That's all documented on the Keeper Kane channel. So go check them out. And it's always family friendly, always safe for any sets of ears to watch. All right. These are great people. Go take care of them. Last but not least is Chris Shelley at BNS Reptilia. Please do me a favor, check him out. He's Reptilia because he is not only dealing in ball pythons, but blood pythons, colubrids of all shapes and sizes, locality boas. If you're into the Pituophis colubrids, the bull snakes, the pine snakes, he's got those as well. And he's got the education and the support to help you make sure that they're legal where you're at if you have them, and you have the education to take care of the animals. He's been a great resource. He's my vending partner at Tinley in October, and we've got a couple animal investments that we've made together as well. So thank you to Chris, as well as all of the other advertising partners and supporters. These are people in our industry, in our community, in our hobby, supporting our hobby. They literally keep the lights on. They keep me going every week. I appreciate it. Take some time to give them a little bit of support if you're considering participating in the market anywhere. All their links are down below in the description. And like I say, big thanks to Palm Street bringing you all this content ad-free now on Proper Royals live content production. Hanging out with Bobby Covek tonight from Gecko Cove. I got a pretty good crash course in Gargoyle Geckos, man. I'm feeling good about it. You've been very patient.
You ready to jump in? I'll see you at Tinley.
I'm not so sure about that, about jumping in. I am intrigued, but I would have one as a pet. I have a problem that I'm like yeah, the dogs and the squirrels. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. And then I
Yep.
go crazy on something. And I've realized that as I've gotten older and I have a little bit more assets and resources, I go crazier and crazier. So I just need to keep a narrow focus. But I think I think that they're very cool. We had a Cresty for quite a long time and never dropped its tail, anything. But
Nice.
so I like them. I like them as pets. I would consider it. But um, tell me, I know that you were excited about it. You just put out a video. If anybody else wants to learn more about this, tell us about this grow tent model. Don't everybody get excited. He's growing geckos in there, but
Right.
this grow tent model that you have put in place.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited about this new way of keeping geckos. One of the biggest challenges with any tropical species, and I really think there's an application for this with a ton more than just gargoyle geckos. But basically, like you said, it's a grow tent. There's different sizes, there's different companies, but what it does is I've customized it using all the same things people use to do an indoor garden, quote unquote, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
And with
there's
the
great. And by
technology
the
today,
way, sorry to cut
yeah,
you off. By the
no,
way,
please.
there are great resources in that industry. You want to talk about an industry that had an influx of big money to dial in things very specifically from airflow, temperature, humidity. I use that. And obviously, we're talking about growing marijuana.
Yeah.
This is a very, very thoroughly researched, evidence proven, evidence backed, high dollar investment industry. Yeah, use the resources available and the knowledge base available there.
Yeah, I was listening to another podcast, the new Cal Corner, and he had a guest on who was saying that that's what they did. They went and bought a grow tent, and their model originally just had like some a heater from Home Depot and things like that, and
Mhm.
so it wasn't fully fleshed out. That same person has done it since I've been talking to them, but they said reach out if you had any questions, and I did. And James from Gecko Smith, he walked me through exactly what he did and all of his different ideas, and I kind of ran with it. I went out and I bought a 4x9 tent to start
Okay.
out with. Realized really quickly that that wasn't enough space for me. So then
How
I turned
but
around and bought a
how tall are these tents?
so that was the thing. There's a few companies that really dominate the market. There's the ones that you can get on Amazon, but then the two big dogs that I've discovered were Gorilla, and they have a higher ceiling, right?
Mhm.
And so they're a little bit more pricey. They claim that their materials are a little bit better. And then what I went with was AC Infinity, just a step down on the price bracket. But what's nice about them, and I thought so it's 8 feet tall, right?
Sure. Okay.
What I like about the 8 foot tall versus the 10 or 12 foot tall, and I have room in my basement where I could go higher, right?
Okay.
It's not about that. When you're trying to dial in heat, right? You don't want the space.
Right,
You don't
right.
want the height.
Yeah.
And so it creates less of a variation. So basically what the setup is I have a 10 by 10 fully enclosed tent. Now there's airports all over where you can play around and add different things that they've done for that industry. What I've chosen to do is I have a giant 5-gallon humidifier by AC Infinity in my tent. I have one of their Heat Forge heaters that's very efficient. And then I have their lights, I have their fans. And what's nice is everything works off of one central hub control system, which is controlled either manually on their control system, which hangs perfectly outside the tent, or you can go into your app. And when I'm on vacation, I can see what the humidity is
Right.
inside and outside my tent, heat, and all the different components. If you buy it through AC Infinity, what I liked, what sold me, is instead of just doing an on and off switch, it's a level 1 through 10. And so if it only needs a little bit more humidity, it'll just kick up 1 or 2. If it
Nice.
needs a whole heck of a lot, it'll jump it up to 10. Same thing with heat. So it really reduces the electricity bill and the carbon footprint that you have, which I really
Yeah.
like.
I use Govee and like the
Mhm.
Govee basically environment or the system,
Yep.
and it ends up being very similar to what you're talking about with a central control panel, timers and all that. It sounds like you're saying that yours does that I wish mine did. So for example, I have a smart outlet that controls my exhaust fan, moves 400 CFM, and will just suck out the sort of the stale air, pull in fresh air.
Yep.
I could set that by hours. I could set it by on and off. I could set it for how long on until it turns off. But Govee makes thermometers and what would you call it? Not a humidistat. It tells you what the humidity is. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
It's late.
But I wish that they could hydrometer, maybe hygrometer.
There we go. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I wish that they could talk to each other and say when the temperature reaches, in my case, 84 degrees, I don't care what the timer says. I need that exhaust fan to pull in cool, fresh air.
Yes.
Or when the humidity gets to 74% and it's going to start causing mold, no matter how much I want humidity, I need that to turn on the fan and bring in fresher, drier air here in Minnesota.
That's what this does.
Yeah. And see, that would be, I'm telling you, like, I need a meeting with Govee. They could become even more prevalent in the market. I need to learn about that. So you're saying you can tie in not only timer, you can put in the variance of 1 to 10, but also you could set it to temperature.
You could set parameters.
Yeah.
On all of those things. And if any of them are out of whack, what's nice is I bought the fanciest controller. It's their newest controller, which is technically, it has what they call AI. It's just, a basic version of AI. And so it runs it all in what the system thinks is the most efficient way. So it'll do all those things. There's exhaust fans too that you can buy and either mount inside the tent, or there's ports to have them externally mounted. Same thing with the heat. Same thing with the humidity. If I wanted all the life support on the outside of the tent, I could. I just find it easier to keep it inside the tent currently. So yeah, these are all things, which could be a space saver too if you needed more space. Now Gorilla does have a 10 by 20 tent that they sell, where 10 by 10 is typically the largest tent you can get.
Okay. Very cool. And any regrets, any challenges, any like things that you've been like, oh crap, I didn't think about.
I shouldn't have bought the smaller size first. It was a waste of money. So if anybody does want to grow geckos or weed, feel free to give me a call and give it for free.
We deal in geckos here, not the other on proper royals. No,
so the name of ball pythons reminds me of, no, never mind. But yeah, no big regrets there. I just had to because I kept a lot of stuff in tubs because, again, I'm trying to keep humidity. Like you said, with the mold issue, if there wasn't enough airflow, I have fans going 24/7 in that thing. And I had to put extra holes in all of my tubs. I had to re-drill everything to get max airflow. Honestly, I think if there was a better screen, situation, that might even be the best thing. So
yeah, I think also what's really important to highlight too, like the tent is cool and it's a good solution for you, but really it's mitigating variables, limiting or eliminating variables, and then being able to monitor things in an efficient way rather than running downstairs 5 times a day or, interrupting your day job or time with family, or sitting on a couch, enjoying yourself, checking out mentally. So those are assets that if anybody can do or find ways to improve, to automate, improve efficiency and reduce variables in any business, it's going to get better. And then you also get to
more enjoyable.
Yeah. You're not mad pulling your hair out. You're not burn it. Like, it extends the amount of time it takes to burn out when you're doing those things,
Yeah. Well, and the other biggest plus for me, and I don't know if it's the same way with ball pythons, but one thing that again, my mentors have preached is that gargoyles and most New Caledonian species need to be humid, but not wet. They don't live in a rainforest, right? They live in a island coastal. The air just is filled with water. but it's not wet. They can get respiratory infections, they can get fungal infections.
Right.
And so what's nice about the tent is it keeps the room humid, but I don't have to go and put a misting system. I don't have to go and spray every single day, twice a day,
Yeah.
where then you spike their humidity to 90 and then it dries out to 50. It's a more consistent. And I've even noticed, because their skin is so soft, that my animals are softer in this environment than they were when I had them outside the
Interesting.
tent.
Nice. Yeah.
They're more hydrated.
We find there's a wide range. So obviously too wet can cause scale rot, like you say, some fungal infections. You can get respiratory infections as well, although that's generally from temperatures being too cold.
Yeah, that's the other part.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's the same with geckos. I mean, because it's geography is geography. You know, in Florida, the care for ball pythons is different than the care in Minnesota, and each facility has its own ins and outs as well. You wouldn't believe. So I actually use Aspen for my ball pythons, and I get people commenting all the time, that's dumb to do. There's no way that you can keep your humidity where it needs to be with Aspen. You have to use cocoa. I say, you don't know the context, first off. Secondly, then I show them a picture. My typical humidity in my room averages 67%. I have a commercial grade and scope and size dish pit in the middle of my facility where I'm cleaning constantly. And I don't have, I moderate like I say, I moderate the exhaust, the airflow. It gets very humid in there. I'm like, if the atmospheric air is at 67%, I don't need it in each, in the substrate. But then again, the comment sections of videos is not where people want to.
Everybody's an expert.
Yeah, no, that's not where people come for nuance and understanding. Is what I've learned. But I'm glad that they come. I'm glad that they come check it out. Speaking of social media, tell people. Let's talk a little bit about what you have going on. You're really active on your YouTube channel. You got a good following on there. How long have you been at it on there? I mean, you got good results. Those don't just happen overnight.
I think this is the third year that I'm running the YouTube channel. And I'm not super crazy consistent. I usually get about one video out a month. But I want to make sure that it's something that's actually worth people watching. So a lot of it is interview style, kind of like what we're doing right now. And I started with, because there wasn't much Gargoyle Gecko, podcast content. And there's the big inspiration for me was there was a newer podcast. Now it's not so new, the Gecko Pod. I was watching them and I was just like, man, I love this content. I'm learning a lot because there's similarities between crested geckos and gargoyle geckos. But I'm like, give me a gargoyle breeder. Come on, like someone just speak to me, right? And they had one person on all season, and it was a great episode. But I'm like, you know what? Instead of just asking other people to do it, this is the time to make it happen myself.
Yeah, if you see that stuff like this in this day and age, you got internet, you got a basement, you got a microphone, boom, hit it, go.
I had nothing. I had nothing. I've gone through 3 different microphones, learning which one to get and what sounds good. I mean, if you go back and listen to my first, 20 podcasts, 15 podcasts, I sounded like Darth Vader through like the second half of the year because I had this perpetual cold, right? And I was having a deviated septum surgery.
Oh, geez.
And my mic picked up everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to create backgrounds. Like, this is just a green screen background. And so there's a lot of little things.
That goes back to that point A and point B. You just start and you get the reps and you get better and better. Like you hope. Well, you do. You do. You look at your background. You sound good. You're comfortable on camera. You're engaging the screen. And again, your results are there on your channel, man.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and cool. We're always having fun. I brought in my buddy John from Goldenrod Gex. I met him at Tinley. It was actually a really fun, quick story. I was standing in line second day of Tinley, just ready to have another day, and I see him, and he had just started his Instagram channel and kind of came up on my feed. It was that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, I love your content, right? I'm extroverted. I don't mind speaking to people.
Yep.
He looked around and he goes, holy shit, it's you. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, no one cares about me, right?
Yeah.
And so we just ended up hitting it off. But it was just we both were just fans of each other who ended up having a similar passion. And now we have a podcast together. I invited him on to, I have my separate first podcast, which I just deal with gargoyle stuff for the most part. And then anything to do with like New Cal General and kind of cross comparing the species. I bring him on. I call it the Gecko Guys.
Gotcha. Nice.
Yeah.
Let's get nerdy for a minute. What
Mhm.
microphone you using there? What'd you land on, and what do you like about it?
So I actually started off, I was a Rode guy, but
Yeah.
then I actually went to a reunion, a high school reunion, my very first one, which was 20 years. I'm getting old. And one of the guys there who I was not friends with in high school, he was telling me he actually designed this microphone. This is the Shure M7 Plus,
Okay.
like USB mic. It's not
Yeah.
the fanciest one,
Yeah.
but I remember talking to him. It was a good price point, and he goes, he was telling me how he had to design it for this price point. He goes, I could have made it better. I could have made it sound so much better too at the same
But
cost.
that's the
They
thing.
wanted,
Yeah. Right.
they didn't want it to be better than the other Shure mics because they didn't want it to compete. So I find that stuff super interesting.
Well, and every industry is like that, man. Like,
Yeah.
so my restaurants are my back. I can always add a more expensive ingredient on top, but at some point, the demand, the amount people are willing to pay, and the appreciation. Like, I could tell somebody how amazing a 40-year-old bottle of wine is if it's not, I don't even mean it if they don't appreciate it as in they're dumb. I don't mean it that way. There's plenty of nice
No, but
things I don't
there's an
appreciate.
acquired taste, and not only that, but like, okay, the same thing with the geckos, right?
Yes,
You get to
exactly.
a
Yeah.
certain point with these animals where when you're at a certain echelon of the hobby, right?
Yeah.
It's such the minutia that makes the $1,000 difference, the
Right.
$2,000 difference, fill in the gap number,
Yeah.
right? And it's the same thing with wine, right?
Yeah.
All
Or
I know is that when I go to my family, my uncle Jeff has the best wine collection. When I go there, I don't get a bad hangover because it's really good wine. That's the only difference, but it tastes just the same.
let me break your heart, man. You drink enough of that, you'll get it. You just gotta you need a
Exactly.
little more. That's all. But no, it's the same with guitars.
Sell
Like,
more geckos.
yeah, there you go. But yeah, is it East Indian rosewood, or is it Madagascar ebony? I don't know, man. Through an amplifier and 99 effects and then a studio processing, do you know the difference? I don't
Right.
know. I claim to, but even that's a stretch, man. I appreciate it. So, but that's kind of cool. So the Shure SM7, am I thinking correctly on that?
SM7 Plus, I think. I bought the
SM7
Plus version.
Yeah. Nice. And then your background, you said it's a green screen, and who did your
okay.
design? Your design looks great back there, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So okay. Two different questions. Green screen. What's funny about that is I cannot speak more than one language. Okay, I can barely get English right, but I can be one of those people who can do Mac and Windows.
Okay.
Right. So, but right now I'm in a Mac kind of bubble. I didn't realize that like my camera right now is just my iPhone.
Oh, great.
Right?
Nice work.
And
Yeah.
so it all works together. I don't have to buy anything extra. It syncs. I could take it around and
But you have,
unplug it.
I'm sorry to interrupt. You have
Yeah,
that
please.
synced with a laptop. You're not just on your phone, are you?
Oh, no. It's my so I have a MacBook in front of me right now.
Yes.
And then it's synced with wirelessly to my
Yes. You
phone
can
and
select that as your camera, right?
correct.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that saved me some money, and
Yeah, big
it
time.
looks decent. And then the background this is just a feature on MacBooks. So anybody with a MacBook
Yep.
can go in and choose their background, and it cuts it out relatively nicely compared to other, digital backgrounds. So there's a giant mess behind me because I'm building a 6x2x2 enclosure, but you don't see that.
No, that's fantastic. No, this is great content for people watching too, because sorry, a few thoughts. You're
Sure.
exactly right. This is the 16, not the 17. These cameras on this side, not necessarily the selfie cameras, but
Yep.
these are, I mean, I know
Phenomenal.
just like there's Gibson guitar geeks like myself that'll tell you it matters. There are people that'll tell you that the Canon camera that I'm using matters. Not when you're playing in this sandbox, man. Just get, if you got a phone, just get started, folks. But
Absolutely.
but yeah, you could choose that as your camera. Now, what do you choose to get the background that way? Because I always thought that the backgrounds were kind of tied to the platform versus the machine. So you're saying that's
Typically,
not
yes.
through StreamYard. That's
Nope.
specifically through your Mac. How's that? Walk us
Correct.
through that process.
So basically, there's a little camera icon anytime your webcam is being used,
Okay.
and you can click on, it's a green little camera icon, and down at the very bottom it says background, and you can upload any image you want to that background.
All right, hang on a
Eh,
second here.
Sure.
Let's
See
just
if you can do it.
have
You're
some
on a
fun, because now and this is why I love doing the show, because somewhere I'm going to leave smarter than when I arrived. All right.
So like
So,
I can switch my background to
all right,
my
hang on.
Gecko Guys live.
Watch how scary my life gets here. This is the difference between a Canon
Got my fat
camera
man.
and then oh, that's exact place, same thing
Yeah.
going on here. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to click my green camera that is the webcam. Now okay. FaceTime HD camera. I
Yep.
have portrait, I have studio light.
So
Okay,
you don't
that's kind of neat.
see, so it says, yeah, portrait, studio light, edge light, reactions, and then background is the next one down.
No, mine only goes to reactions.
Mm.
I wonder, maybe I haven't upgraded to the latest operating
Software.
system.
Yeah. Sometimes what helps too is to get it kickstarted, go to photo booth, open photo booth, and then you can go up to here, let me do something real quick. Then you go to camera, and then you can select your phone as the camera, and that will get it kickstarted.
Oh, hang on a second. Yeah, I could let's do the whole shoot. I have this nifty thing.
And what's funny is I had to actually buy a little like magnetic puck to work with.
That's what I was just looking for, to hang it. Yeah, there's
hang,
little to hang it right on the edge there. But all right, so I'm gonna now. How do I switch it over to my phone then?
So it should switch automatically and do a little ding once you go. Either the platform will kick it off, which this one I had issues with. So go to your photo booth app.
Oh, all right. We'll just talk through it. I won't do it right now.
Sorry.
I'm going to learn
you
about
go to
it.
photo booth, and then
okay.
you go to camera. Yeah, and then you
Gotcha.
can select it, and that usually gets it kickstarted.
I bet if I was selected on the phone, it would give me that opportunity.
Yeah.
All right, but cool.
So, but I play around with that
a lot there.
And then since I started, I'm cheap. I appreciate good art. I want to start by saying that. So like I'm looking this Tinley to go buy art, right? Whether that's more from Adeline Robinson or Emily Burke or Noah Bound. I love their stuff. But also when you're rolling on a budget to begin with, I'm actually pretty bad about this. I've changed my logo probably 6 times.
Okay.
Now it's always a variation of the same thing.
Sure.
But I'm trying to use the tools and learn how to create and be artistic there. This recent one, so this is sort of like my banner background, right? Where I have the sunset.
Yeah.
But the actual like Gecko Cove, with the tiki torches and that fits in kind of if you look at any other social media, there's like a red circle that I started out with, right?
Yeah, it's on the thumbnail.
Yep. So there. And so I play around with kind of that, but that gecko, I've been trying to make a realistic version of my gecko, right? And the only way I could do that prior to just recently was pay someone $1,000, because that's typically what it costs, is $800 to $1,000 for an art piece like that. I didn't have that money, or I didn't want to invest it in something.
Yeah, that's hard to justify. Yeah.
So, but I see a value in that. But I've been playing around just for kind of fun with Canva has AI, and there's obviously other AI platforms. And I just threw in my gecko and said, make this a drawing versus a picture, right? And that popped up, and I cleaned it up a little bit, tweaked a few things, and put it in.
That's pretty good.
Could be, it could be controversial. I know some people really don't like AI, which I completely understand. I'd love to have a podcast and hear people out. But that's just something that's kind of come up recently.
Yeah, it's the horse is out of the barn. We can lament change, or we can figure out how to. I suppose you can figure out how to fight it, or figure out how to live in the world with it. But I don't think it does that much good just to I hate it. Okay, well, you can have
Yeah.
feelings. You're entitled to it. But no, I think if it's a resource, and it's a useful, productive resource, which I find it to be, because really the intelligence part is just faster learning and faster, faster results and data.
Processing. Yeah.
Yeah, and data compilation. So, sure, I get it. I think as more time goes on, I heard a great quote. This was from a marketing guy, and he was speaking to marketing people. He said, the only marketing people that are going to lose their jobs to AI are the marketing people that don't incorporate AI into their jobs.
Yep.
And I think you can insert a whole lot of industries into that. Now, sure, AI is probably not going to breed ball pythons and clean ball python tubs and scrape ball python poo for quite some time. But there are a lot of industries that you have to say, okay, this tool is here. This is what's happening. How do I make the most of it? How do I educate myself about it?
Yeah, and again, with the machine learning of patterns, that's really what it is.
Yep.
Artificial intelligence, even the name of it, is sort of misleading in my opinion.
Yeah.
And so again, I don't want to get into the politics of is it good or bad. It
No.
is, and that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Right. And so with that, like you said, these are our tools. As long as we're ethically using them to the best of our knowledge, I mean, I don't see an issue with this. Is literally my gecko. It's literally the same photo. It's not even in a different position. I took that photo. So,
Yeah.
I'm like, so
yeah. Well,
but I think it looks good. I like it. So
no, I like it a lot. I think it's a great presentation, and I appreciate you walking through it, because that's a really good illustration of, again, I see a lot of people get caught up, and it's because they care. It comes from a place of caring and pride, and pride in a good way, not in a negative way, of wanting to put their best foot forward. But sometimes you just got to start. You just got to learn along the way. You got to tinker. You got to experiment. You got to figure it out. And the beautiful thing of YouTube is, take it. If you don't like it, take it down. Throw it in the garbage. Nobody ever has to see it again. And I guarantee you, folks, the people that saw it weren't taking notes like, oh, look how dumb this. They flipped through. They forgot you already. Don't worry.
Adam, have you ever seen my videos about keto cooking?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's what my channel was before I bought geckos.
Nice, man.
No, they were horrible.
But if people want to see, and I've left from my very first video, I've never taken one down. It's all there. You can see it. It looks like I used to be filming on a cantaloupe, man. Like, it was just like, oh my gosh, Adam, take it easy. But time progresses, good things happen. You learn, you iterate, all that stuff.
Exactly.
Bobby, give us a quick rundown one more time. Where can people find you? How can they get in touch with you? How can they hang out, learn more about you? All that good stuff.
Will do. Thanks again, Adam, for having me on, and happy birthday,
pleasure.
by the way. Guys, go hit that like button down below and share this for his birthday. If you can't do it then, whenever. So, okay, where can you find me? If you're looking to find Gecko Cove, you can find me on YouTube, mostly Instagram. I am on Facebook, all under Gecko Cove. You can go to geckocove.com. Nice and simple. See all of my geckos I'm working with and projects I'm working on. But if you want to get in touch with me, hit me up on Instagram. I will also be doing my very first Market Live. I'm going to be just trying it out. I've done Palm Street as well. Had a lot of success there. And so this Thursday, this is live. So this Thursday.
The 19th. Yeah.
The 19th, come check it out. I'm going to have some really nice holdbacks, as well as I work with another breeder who's local, who he's bringing a bunch of great stuff. So we're going to have a lot of fun.
Very cool. Well, Bobby, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for putting up with some ball python folks for the evening. I appreciate you giving
great
us
people.
Thank you. Spread the word, please. No, thanks for hanging out. Let's get in touch before Tinley, and let's catch up in Chicago in a month or so.
That would be great. I'd love to.
Awesome. Likewise, man. Well, guys, thank you so much. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I'm ironing out details for next week. I'll be on the road in North Carolina, out in the mountains there, working at a on-site for a client. But the show, I'm like 90% sure the show will go on one way or another. Either I'll host it, I'll get a guest host. we're going to bring you your proper Royals content is what I'm convinced of. So thanks for hanging out. Stay tuned on that. Mostly certain next week, and then always otherwise same place, same time. Thank you very much, Bobby. Guys, go check out Gecko Cove, please, very much. See you next time. Bobby, hang out just 1 second.
See you
okay?
guys.